some breaking news out of the White House as it pertains to the war with Iran. So the president posted on Truth Social this. He says the Islamic Republic of Iran shot at least 4 one-way attack drones at ships transversing the Strait of Hormuz. One of the drones solidly hit the upper deck of a large and very expansive cargo carrying ship. Damage was done, the president writes, but the ship was able to proceed on its own way. The president goes on to say, we knocked down 3 other drones. Obviously, he finishes saying this is a foolish violation of our ceasefire agreement. A lot of questions come about how much that agreement could be on a bubble at this hour because of this. So let's go live to the White House and CBS News correspondent Nikole Killion. So does this mean the deal is off?
Well, we'll have to see. Obviously, it's upsetting to the president, of course, and because that was part of the agreement, right, that the Strait of Hormuz would be open. In exchange, the U.S., stopped its blockade, naval blockade there. So in his view, obviously, this is a violation. What happens next remains to be seen. We've obviously inquired with the White House, but we do expect to hear from the president later this hour. So we'll see if he provides any additional clarity as to whether or not there could be repercussions from this. I would, however, note that, we have seen a number of starts and stops since this agreement, even after this memorandum of understanding was signed. Of course, there were also those tensions and fighting between Israel and Hezbollah, which threatened to derail this agreement as well. There are actually talks that are still taking place here in Washington between representatives of Israel and Lebanon. So far, that issue has not derailed the agreement, but I just raised that to say that, there have been other issues that have threatened this deal, if you will. So we will see if this strike by Iran on that Singapore flagship in the Strait of Hormuz affects this agreement in any way. We know those technical talks are expected to continue in the coming days, but we will see whether or not they proceed.
Such important context. We thank you for that. So a standoff also between the White House and Congress over the passage of the Save America Act. We know this is also something you're watching. Nikole, where do things stand on that?
Well, they are at a standstill, to kind of use some of the terminology used in talking to me. I mean, look, the House is out right now. They're expected to come back next week. But, the president's insistence on moving the SAVE Act has really kind of paralyzed action in Congress on a number of fronts. First, with that cancellation earlier this week of a signing ceremony for a bipartisan housing bill that, both Republicans and Democrats are championing and say will go a long way to help folks out there with this housing crisis, on this issue of affordability that both parties have been talking about. That being said, we do know that the president met with Speaker Mike Johnson yesterday, and he said that, he and the president and Republicans are all on the same page. And so we will see whether or not, the president kind of drops this threat for Congress to pass the SAVE Act before, for instance, he signs this housing bill or takes up other legislation that Congress is trying to move forward. So that is where we find ourselves. Obviously, the president did say that he doesn't think that House Republicans should, block rules or, do any kind of procedural mechanisms to kind of hold up the agenda, if you will. So we will see if the president's words there kind of help ease this logjam over the SAVE Act when the House returns next week.
Glad you're watching it all for us. Nikole Killion, all the moving parts and always wonderfully told. Thank you so much from the White House.